trust them, because I'm like, you have shown that even mom can't trust you. I can't trust you even to love mom. I can't trust even men based off the things that you've told me about, like how they are visual beings.
They undress you.
They undress you by seeing you. They don't have like really good intentions with you. When a man meets you and approaches you, he probably wants sex. Such things. And you're like, then if love really doesn't exist, or if true friendship doesn't exist, then let me just be solo. And I remember telling my mom, hey, mom, honestly, I don't think I'll ever get married. I'm not gonna get married. And
because of the marriage that you had seen, which was supposed to be the standard.
Exactly. And also the thing is, that time Jane the Virgin ilikuwa imeshika. So one time she went to have her pap smear, like to check the she went to have a pap smear, and the doctor who was doing the pap smear was a little bit disoriented, and instead of doing the pap smear, she accidentally inseminated Jane with a viable sperm of someone else.
And Jane got pregnant.
And
That lie.
Yeah.
Lie from hell.
And she got pregnant with a rich guy's baby. And then now they had to like meet eventually, because now they realized that, okay, this has just happened.
So,
yeah.
So, okay. We're not about to get into the movie, but now this is someone who got pregnant without engaging
in sex.
Okay, continue.
How did give birth without engaging
in sex. How did that affect you?
Well, because I learned about artificial insemination in that movie, I was like, if I want kids, that's the way to go. I don't need to do the deed. I don't need men. I'll just stay like that. I'll be the independent girl and live my career life and be the mom to my kids. Well, my mom has done a great job. My grandma did a great job. So
it's the men.
It's the men. The men are the issue. So like, even I remember, you know, the way in high school, that's when you start like testing the waters, even with like relationships. Like there's this guy who really likes you. There was this guy I met in high school, and he was a really nice
high school, no?
For real? But I wasn't in a relationship with
him,
though.
And savvy. Okay.
He was a really nice guy. Like, he was the church kind of guy, and he was super sweet, like always intentional. Like when we'd go for holidays, he'd call me, check up on me. How is mom? How is your grandma doing? That kind of thing. And at some point, when he was super nice and all, I used to think he's too good. He's too good to be true.
Don't want that.
I don't want that.
It's because of the trauma that had been formed. And
a man can be this good. He's pretending. He's lying. Like, eventually, his claws are gonna show. Like, this guy, no, he can't be the one. So, at some point, I, like, just called things off. Like, honestly, I can't date you. Because now he wanted me to date him. I can't date you. I can't be in a relationship with you. I don't want anything to do with you. Because... yeah, you're just too good
for me, or too.
You're just too good.
A man is not supposed to be that
You're not
good.
supposed to be too good.
Okay.
And at some point, my father had like put this toxicity to in my mind to a level where a good man is too feminine.
Oh.
Now it's like a man is supposed to be a toxic masculinist. Basically,
for him to be a man,
to suppress, to be in his dominant, macho, suppressive, like oppressive.
And that really happens right now. There is this wave of toxic masculinity. I know this podcast is not about masculinity, but there is a really huge wave of like for a man to buy flowers. That's mama, that's that's feminine.
Simping.
Yeah,
that's the word.
Okay.
Yeah.
You were saying about your dad putting this
mindset in my head, like a man shouldn't be all lovey-dovey with you. A man shouldn't be emotionally attentive to you. A man shouldn't be all caring and compassionate. A man should be exerting his dominance. A man should be oppressive. A man should show you, yo, I'm the man, you're the woman. Here. Get beneath. You know? So, yeah, like... it was now affecting how I'd interact with other men. And like now, even to a point, I was also struggling with that even in campus in a way. And that's why I even went for therapy, because it's like I couldn't fully open up. I had this wall, like
okay.
It was like my guard was so high. It's like I just couldn't allow a man into like my inner circle. I was so scared of being hurt. I was so scared that it might turn out like I might turn out to be like my mom, maybe, because my mom is somewhat almost like me, or I'm like her rather. She's the type of person, when she loves, she loves hard. Like, you tell her anything, it's just she's gone. just gone, man.
So you really didn't want...
I didn't want to put myself in a position where I can be vulnerable to hurt, because you know that saying where women fall in love with what they hear and men fall in love with what they see. Yeah. So my ears, I don't want to hear. I don't want to.
Like, bye.
I've checked out. So even with like even entertaining male friends, it was a little bit difficult. But there's this one male friend I had from primary, because he used to be my study mate, and we're still friends today. Up to date. Nice. In as much as now he's in a different country, we still talk like on a daily. And like that one was, I'm happy to have had him in my life, because he, in as much as he was young, or I really appreciate his parents for raising him the way he was raised, he was the best example of even a brother, of even a man in my life, because he couldn't do much for me when I was in these situations. But then he would be there to listen to me. He'd tell me everything is going to be okay. You're going to make it. Don't worry. Your mom is going to be okay. Like, the fact that he was always there for me, it just...
Shout out. We will give him a shout out at the end.
Yeah.
While you were speaking, I was so much led to say, there is... I want to say something. Okay. You know, growing up, this dad issue, I think it's a really major, big issue that I think you'll come back again in another podcast in the days to come, healing the dad wound and all that. But I remember growing up, I also had issues with daddy issues and all that all that. Today, it's not my day, but I'll talk about it in one of the podcasts. I remember growing up, there were these daddy issues and all that. And part of finding my healing from the heart and all that is... This came to my mind when you were talking about the image that you had about men and you not wanting to invite men to your circle and all that. I remember I also experienced that. But what really struck me down is the image. You see, the image that we have of God is like he's a male figure. So like, I was like, I am letting you as the father me now, you know, like... I'm letting you show me the kind of man a man should be. And it really, like, I really felt the need to say that. I've said it and I'll repeat it again. The importance of letting God in your pain. Because that's now you see, that's so true. Because now you see you projecting and not wanting a man and all that. It's because the truth is that you didn't have an example of a dad. And it's so true. Like, who is supposed to father you if the man who was supposed to didn't play his role and all that? So, actually, I feel like,
just to add on to what you said, I remember even going to my high school. It had reached a point where my mom now was like the sole breadwinner, because we never understood where my father's money would go. So when I wanted to switch schools from the high school I was to the high school I finished at, and my mom had no money at all. So even when I went for the interview, we're just walking by faith. And I knew I was going to be accepted, which I was. And then next thing, they're asking for the school fees. Then next thing, you're being asked to now go get the uniforms and everything you need to get. And my mom was broke. Like, her account was negative. And I remember just leaving that campus and I was saying, God is my how.
That was high school now.
No, that was in high school. I was just telling God, you're my how. You're my father. Wow. So nice. You reminded me when you said allowing God as the father into your pain, because I was like, God is my how. God is how I'm going to get there. He's gonna provide for me. He's going to be everything that my father isn't.
Wow, that's
and
actually so powerful.
Indeed, the Lord made a way, because I went to that school. My mom got everything on time.
Wow.
Things just panned out, and I finished there. And I'm so, like, I look back at it and I say, literally, my life is a life of testimonies. Every single thing that I thought was impossible, and I tell it's, and like I allow God to like take charge of. It just happens. I don't understand how. I don't understand where, how it's
But
gonna,
it just
why.
happens.
It just happens.
Wow.
And that's so true. Because, you know, there's that verse where God is like the father to the fatherless.
Yeah.
Like, he's indeed a father to the
That's
fatherless.
so true. And I wish like people knew that, because you know, the intensity of the words, like the word of God, sometimes doesn't sink so deep when we are in pain. You know, we just want to praise the Lord and be happy when we are in our happy seasons. But you know, through these trials, and because you have gone through that process of like, now God was not in the picture and you were feeling like lonely and all that, and now you invited God, I feel like you're in a better place to tell people, allow God to be there with you, allow God to carry you through the storm. There is a sermon I was listening to, I think it was yesterday morning, and it was saying, God didn't say that you won't pass through the waters. He just said, even in the waters, I'll be with you. He didn't say that he won't be there in the wilderness. He just said, even in that wilderness, he will be there. Even in those dark days. He didn't say you won't go through the valley of death, but he said he will be there with you. So it's just about having God in that pain.
Yeah.
I want us to talk about therapy and how you found your healing through therapy. Because right now, therapy is like imeachiliwa, mostly in the Christian spaces. Because I don't know whether they think it's a sin or something like that, but I think there is a version of therapy, and why I think many men of God or many people don't talk about it so much is the aspect of people who pour into your life. You know, there is a point of people pouring into your life from a perspective of just the money, you know, and I'm here for the money, I'm a therapist, and then I'm done. And then there is a point of I pour into your life because I intentionally want you to get healed and all that. And then also, before I let you talk, therapy, I know therapy is important, but I wanted to say that I feel like therapy is God's healing hand to our emotions. Because if we can strongly believe that God can heal our cancer, then he can also heal our emotions. The same way he will use a doctor to, like, you know,
heal you.
Exactly. Physically. You see, the Bible says something so interesting that I figured out today morning when I was arranging for this podcast and the questions to ask you and how to engage you. I was like, you see, if God says he gives beauty for ashes, it means that then there requires to be a hand for him to give that beauty to you. You know, you won't say that I'll have really nini hair and you don't go to the salon.
Exactly.
The same way God will use a source to be your form of therapy. So anything you would want us to know about therapy, anything you would want to shed light on, mostly to the Christian spaces, and even to the ain'ts, like people who are not Christians and all that you would like to clarify on therapy before maybe we go to another segment, and then we'll know how much time we have before we
so therapy requires intentionality. Therapy can never work if you do not want to heal. If you do not want to get past your pain. It starts with the mind. Like, you choose to walk past everything and become the best version of yourself, or work towards becoming the best version of yourself. So for me, I started therapy once I joined campus.
Oh
yeah,
I thought it was like years ago, because like you look so healed and so happy and so transformed.
I used to have on and off therapy in my high school. So I think the most serious intense therapy I had was in campus.
Okay.
So like in campus, I remember I used to have therapy every week from, was it week 2 all the way to the last week,
up to week 14
of the semester. And it was a little bit uncomfortable, to be honest, because now we are delving into
vulnerability,
the points at which you get easily triggered. And I remember before I joined campus, I used to struggle with like nightmares based off like the traumatic experiences I had gone through in my childhood. And then after like, was it 6 months or 4 months before joining campus, those dreams had stopped for some reason. I think I reached a point where I'd numbed myself not to feel the pain. Then I started therapy, and now therapy, it's like
opens up.
Yeah, it now removes the layer of numbness. We're now going to delve into that pain, and now those dreams resume. So I'm like, is this therapy really helping, or it's just making me more angry? Like, I'm getting more irrational. I'm getting more like triggered.
Like, you guys are making me feel the pain
more. But I feel like that pain was very necessary.
Yeah,
and it helps you, because I reached a point where back then I was on survival mode. I was like, so that I can at least be productive, I don't need to feel the pain.
I can really relate to that.
Yeah, like you need to reach a point of numbness. You just do what you're on autopilot.
Survive.
But then now with therapy, it's like it gives you time to mourn. It gives you time to feel the pain. And I remember feeling like my therapist told me, you have not yet grieved the loss of your father. My dad is not dead. He's still alive. He's still walking among us. But I feel like I was grieving the man I expected him to be. I was grieving the father I wanted. I was grieving the family I wanted in my mind. I hadn't grieved it. It had been put on pause because I needed to be strong for my mom. I needed to be strong for my grandma, because a lot of things also transpired at that time with my grandma. I just needed to be the strong glue to the family.
Yeah.
And now in campus, with now therapy, I had the opportunity to now cry and be the child that wanted to
that attention.
That attention. I needed to be that child who felt the loss of her father. And it was painful. It was painful. I remember being triggered by every small thing. Like, I see a car that looks like my dad's. I feel like I want to cry, because now I remember the bad memories that would happen in that car. Then I see maybe like my friends with their dads, and I'm just like, I wish I had that. And it's not like from a point of jealousy, but
you're wishing good for
I wish I was able to have that relationship with my dad again. I don't know if it's possible right now, because a lot of things have really happened. And it was painful. Therapy is painful. It's not a bed of roses. Therapy is painful, but it's necessary. I think what even made it very more paramount for me is Michael Todd. He's a very controversial pastor, but but I like how honest he was about therapy. Like how him and his wife had gone through therapy because they needed to work through their marital issues, and he has kind of removed that bandit on that stigma of therapy. And it's very important for people to be vulnerable and honest that they have trauma, and be true to yourself. You can't lie to yourself. In a way,
if you felt the pain, you felt it, even if you hide it.
Exactly. And if you don't deal with that pain, it's going to reflect in one way or the other in your life. In one way or the other. So like, it's very necessary. And I think, this can be controversial too.
Go ahead, let me hear you.
But like, also even in relation to, you know how people have premarital counseling too. I also think therapy should premarital counseling should also be done in like a real therapist setting. I know people have like, you go and seek a pastor's opinion, which is great. But I also think to supplement that too, you can also book a session with a certified therapist who is not in any way affiliated to like religion, so that you can have those open vulnerable conversations without feeling like, guy, he's a pastor.
They'll say I'm not a Christian enough.
Exactly. And with now being in that non-religious setting, maybe it allows you to like be honest without fear of being judged. Point blank. And if you are calling you a narcissist, brother, you're a narcissist. But obviously they would say that. But it allows you to like just reflect on those nitty-gritties that sometimes it's difficult to open up about in a Christian setting, which I think is quite sad. But I think it's something that should normalized, and we should work on it as the church and as Christians too. Yeah, so therapy is important. And it's something that you should be intentional about. And once you're intentional about it, it's like, I'm not saying don't get addicted to therapy, no, but it allows you, number one, to be so much self-aware. Because one thing my therapist told me is, you shouldn't be so dependent on therapy. The main point of therapy is for you to reach a point where you can therapize yourself.
You found yourself, so you know how to deal with yourself.
Exactly. So even when I have certain emotions, like maybe I feel angry or anxious, I get like fits or something, I'd be like, okay, why am I feeling like this? I'm feeling like this because something triggered me. What triggered me? This triggered me. Like, now, how can I work towards that? Should I go out maybe for a walk? Should I read something? You become more self-aware and self-conscious, which is really important.
It's needed. It's needed. I wanted to say something, and then maybe I'll ask you. I don't know how much time we have. Okay. I wanted to say, I remembered when you were saying about this couple seeking therapy from the religious context. And I remember our lecturer saying, you see, even these pastors and the religious leaders need to come to a point of like knowing psychology, because we can be out there like chasing out demons, and this person is just hurt from the context of something they have stored in the unconscious mind, subconscious mind, you know, because he also says like the body never forgets.
It doesn't.
You know, you might forget, but the body always stores that in your subconscious. So I feel like these people also need to come to a point of appreciating the total fullness of a human being, emotions specifically. They like, I don't know why, but the church and most religious, they just ignore the emotion side. They will feed your soul, they will feed your spirit, they'll feed your body, they'll give you food. But now when it comes to the emotion, they feel like brushing it aside and bringing in the aspect of the other side. I wanted to ask you, right now, have you found, okay, it's like not a stupid question, it's a mean question, but it's not supposed to be like that. But have you found meaning to your pain? Like, has it translated into something that maybe you're doing now or you're looking to do in the future? Or like, has it affected your path of life, your purpose, that pain that you went through?
So yes, it has.
Okay. Thank God
I found meaning to my pain. Actually, it made I was reflecting about this when I was doing an assignment that's due next week. We're being told to have a PowerPoint presentation on your philosophy of life and who you are. What
lecturer is deep.
Imagine
he or she.
It's we're doing history and systems of psychology.
That must be Tabitha.
No, Sophia.
Okay.
Yeah. So, what's the philosophy of your life? What's happiness to you? Is there a purpose in your life? Such things. And now you're gonna have a 5-minute presentation about that
in class.
So, I was reflecting about that, and looking back at it, I realized that I don't think all these things happened in vain. Like, it just can't be. The Lord decided that these two would be my parents. I would see all these things happening, because even the Bible says he knew my end before my beginning, well, he knew all this is going to transpire. He knew very well.
Yeah.
And I feel like there was a reason why he allowed me or put me in this situation, so that I can learn from it. Or maybe he wanted, personally, I believe he wanted me to go through it so that I can help people not go through it.
Wow.
So that's why I am doing psychology and want to minor in family studies.
Wow. You are so passionate about family, man.
Yeah. And hopefully I'll do my master's also in marital and family therapy, because
that's where your heart is.
Yeah, that's where my heart is. Like, that's what I want to focus on. And I feel like it couldn't just be all in vain. Like, I can't have seen all this trauma, lived through it, and then I do something else different. I feel like I wouldn't be fulfilling my purpose. Sense. Yeah, like, personally, I wouldn't want a child to go through what I've gone through. I wouldn't want marriages to break to that level where it's just pain. You know, even if, okay, divorce happens, it's not really in God's plan, but it happens. But I wouldn't want marriages to reach, if they decide to like break, it shouldn't be based off bitterness.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be based off pain. It shouldn't be based off hurt.
Physical hurt.
Yeah. Like, if I were to, let's say, have like clients who are a couple and they choose to part ways, at least they know they're parting ways for the betterment of themselves. Like, all in all, it's for you to be happy and content and be fulfilled with your life. In as much as it's not working out, something else could work out. But even if you're separating or you're divorcing, it shouldn't be based off pain and hurt and trauma and bitterness. So, like, really, I just want to heal people in the union of marriage. I want to help marriages become better. I want to help families become stronger in terms of their emotional support, in their physical intimacy, in everything pertaining to marriage and family. So I think that's my passion.
And then the last question, I wanted to ask you, this is kind of personal. You can't answer, like, you can leave it out if you're not comfortable. Have you healed? Like, when you see your mom, you know, I know, like, you haven't mentioned, but she has some mark that your dad left on her. When you know, have you really healed? Yeah. Can you say you have come to?
I think the same way I'd said, healing is a process, and it's also a choice. Because, you know, let me use an example, like, of someone who's sick. Let's say someone is diagnosed with like a terminal illness, and then you get healed of it. Automatically your life changes. You can't go back to the lifestyle you had before. You now maybe incorporate a new diet, you have workouts and all. So you've healed from that terminal illness, but you're also choosing to heal in other ways, in terms of making a difference in your way of life, in your lifestyle.
The decisions you make, how you interact.
How you choose to live your life. So, well, I think I'm healing.
That's so nice.
I'm so nice. Healing. Like, I've chosen to heal. I've chosen to forgive. That's the first step. And now I'm healing. And it's, sometimes I can be triggered. But then it's always reminding yourself, you've chosen to forgive him or to forgive that person. And now you're healing.
That's so beautiful. Yeah. That's actually so beautiful.
Yeah.
I want you to give maybe a shout out or an appreciation to people who walked you through the journey. I remember there's that guy that we talked about in...
Yeah.
I want it... You're getting so happy. Yeah. He really must be your good friend.
Yeah.
Like, a special appreciation to your mom. Like, let me go ahead of you. Your mom is such a super mom.
Yeah.
Like, she raised such a queen. And she's such a queen herself.
Yeah.
Yeah, so...
number one appreciation is to God, because He orchestrated this meetup and this episode, and we give thanks to Him, and thank you for also having me.
Anytime.
Also appreciation to my mama, because she's been my strength in everything. And she's been such a great mom. Like, she's a good example. She makes me want to be better. And also my grandma. My grandma.
That lady who grows young every time I see her.
Yeah, for real. For real. Aki, my granny, Shosho, Nekwe dete mono. I love you very much. But the Kikuyu accent ain't accenting. But anyway. Also, Malzy Palsy. That's my friend, my male friend. His name is Ian Mala. But I call him Malzy Palsy. Anyway.
Okay. Okay, God, where will I get such kind of friendships that I go to the extent of,
nicknaming them?
I know.
So, Malzy Palsy, thank you so much for being an amazing, amazing friend, and for always being there for me and checking up on me. And we're still going strong. Is it 8 years now? Yeah, 8 years. Strong. Yeah. And yeah. And also to myself.
Yeah.
Appreciation to myself, because I'm proud of the woman I'm morphing into. And I couldn't have done it with all the people I have mentioned. And I'm grateful. I'm really grateful for me and for God. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Priscilla. You're such a darling. I love you so much.
Love you too,
Thank
girl.
you for honoring my invite. Thank you for coming here so that we just have this amazing conversation. Thank you for not crying. Imagine I had carried a tissue, handkerchief. I was like, now if she cries, now I'll just tell Kev to like zoom. And then now I was so ready, but like, thank you for holding up yourself. But I hope you were safe and you felt comfortable. I hope I didn't stretch you so much.
No.
Thank you so much for coming. I appreciate you so much. Please, guys, comment down below so that she comes back again for the fatherhood, healing the fatherhood, the father wound series. Please, guys, please comment. You know, when she sees many comments, she will be moved and God will speak to her. So like, you guys, like, you can help me convince her and like help me like make her see that God is speaking. So I hope to see you again. Thank you so much, and I appreciate you. To you, my viewers, thank you so much for staying to the end of this episode. And I hope I be a blessing to you. Thank you, and see you on the next one. Bye.